Good morning, Shemai.
Bore da, yes, very good. In fact, it is Shemai Day today, so you're supposed to greet everybody with Shemai. So that's something maybe your listeners could do today.
Well, we're going to be catching up with Sasha from Ysgol Bro Penfro to talk about Shemai Day and why that simple little greeting can actually have a huge impact on just sharing the Welsh language.
Yeah, no, it's great. Just give it a little go, even if it's just that word, which obviously means how's it going, really?
Yeah, how's it
Shemai.
going? It's a little bit informal, but it does the work, doesn't it? I'm noticing more and more people signing off emails and messages with diolch, for example. And there was a big push, certainly in the last couple of years since I've been learning Welsh, about use the Welsh you know, not the perfect Welsh.
Oh, I've always been a fan of that. I think they're starting to calm down now, but there was a time when, if you spoke Welsh and you didn't mutate, oh my God, especially if you're a politician, you get your head chopped off. So people are calming down on that a bit now when they're recognizing, listen, just give it a go. Do it with the Welsh you've got. It doesn't matter if it's perfect. Places like Pembrokeshire got just lovely, lovely colloquial, really local Welsh, and it's beautiful. And, sometimes they feel like, oh, it's not proper Welsh. Use it. It's beautiful Welsh. It's beautiful Welsh.
Yeah.
And any kind of Welsh, just give it a go. And, it's not... I think that the whole kind of, if you don't say it perfectly, I think that's really in the rearview mirror now.
It's about giving it a go and getting involved, isn't it? That's good, because I'm from Pembrokeshire, but I don't speak Welsh. But I'm trying to learn little bits, and I'm picking up lots of little bits as we go here on Pure West Radio, and of course from Tom. So yes, there we go. Shemai, I can do that one first today.
There we are.
And then there was me speaking Welsh on a microphone. We'll start off with our little recap from the week. Of course, in fact, we'll come to that in just a second, because Wednesday you were heading off up to North Wales for a whistle stop tour. How did that go in the end?
Oh, it was great, actually. It was wonderful. I got a look at the Theatr Clwyd, which has been massively revamped, and it is absolutely wonderful. And as you said last week, there's a close link with the Torch Theatre, isn't there? So,
yes.
So that was just magnificent, I've got to say. And then I went up to speak at a child poverty conference in Rhyl. And that was really interesting, just getting all the communities to come together, loads of different organizations, just to say, look, let's just do it for ourselves. Let's get together. Let's, use all the funding and pool it and make sure that we give children the best start in life. Because if you don't get it right from the beginning, it just takes such a lot to fix it later. So that was really important. And then we have a North Wales meeting then, and look at with all the leaders of local councils and look at infrastructure, in particular rail in North Wales. Because what's interesting in North Wales is they don't actually look to South Wales as their kind of capital. They look to Liverpool. So we had the mayor of Liverpool there as well, and just talking about how we're improving connectivity, big with trains going from North Wales into Liverpool. And as you know, we've invested loads into trains, and the frequency is much, much better now.
Yeah, it's I hadn't even. Well, I knew that there was an unwritten north-south divide in Wales. I having worked in both areas and travelled back and forth, I thought it was getting better. But that's interesting, that psychology of, well, actually, our big city is Liverpool. It's we just don't really consider it. And then, of course, you were back home then for the weekend, which is where I was speaking a little bit of Welsh on the microphone in Haverfordwest for the new bridge opening.
Yeah, no, it was great, actually. And it's not just the bridge, and I know there's lots of controversy about the bridge itself, but it's the Western Quayside itself. It's bringing life back into the town centre. And earlier in that day, I was there to do a steel signing ceremony. Now, what do you know about that? It was my first steel signing ceremony. So what this was is the transport interchange. Now, anybody going past Haverfordwest has seen the multi-storey car park going up. God, it's taken ages. But it's £19 million worth of funding gone into that. And the idea is that we just get the transport to connect much better, that people can get away around in Pembrokeshire much easier, because you've got everything coming to the centre and then pushing out to different areas, and it'll be much better once we re-regulate the buses. But that's 19 million pounds worth of investment, and then if you bolt on then what's happening in Western Quayside, then you are getting a real transformation in Haverfordwest. And you were there, Tom, when I was explaining about the Mabinogion.
Yes.
And the Mabinogion is a series of books of legends in Wales, and one of the stories in there is about a chap called Bendigeidfran, who was a giant, and he went to rescue his sister who'd been taken to Ireland, and the Irish had cut down the bridge, so they couldn't cross the bridge, and his army couldn't cross, so he lay down and all his army crossed the bridge, and he said, Avo ben bidbont, if you want to be a leader, be a bridge. And I just thought that was appropriate, in the sense that that town centre development is a bridge between the Welsh government, the UK government and local government, all working together, recognising that you need more investment in Haverfordwest.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. It was... I don't really know ever to expect whenever we get dignitaries and politicians together, but the angle that you brought on it on the day was wonderful. In fact, Mark's been in touch on Facebook, and you've kind of answered, actually. It was like, why are we supporting these really expensive projects, 7 million alone on the bridge? But I suppose you need that infrastructure in place to allow for the rest to follow. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. I mean, listen, I get that there's controversy about the bridge, and I think that was decided by the last Conservative UK government. But here we go, and I'm going to get too political here. But the key thing here is, how do you bring new life into town centres when you've seen all these out of town developments going on? And you've got to think in a different way. And there's some really exciting things about to happen in the middle of Haverfordwest. New businesses coming in, high-tech businesses, and that will bring people in, and that will revive the town centre. So that's good news.
Yeah, and without a political view, I'm just thinking now, it's a stepping stone, isn't it? Okay, we can't see the finished result yet, but once everything and the car park is open and there are new businesses and things coming into Haverfordwest, it is going to bring more people in, and it's going to be more accessible.
It does take time. These projects take time, and there are too many empty shops, not just in Haverfordwest, but in all our town centres. That's why we've spent over £100 million on doing up our town centres across the whole of Wales. And Haverfordwest, Milford Haven, they've all had quite good chunks of that money, because we recognise they're looking drabby, but we need people to use them. Because look, we're all guilty. We all go to those out of town shops, and we buy online. There's a reason why these town centres are not being used. Is because we are not using them. So if you want them to thrive, we've all got to use them.
I miss a trip to town. I want to go to town. I want to look in lovely shops. I want to meet people. I want to say Shamai in the street, and then I want to go and have a coffee or some lunch. We miss those days. We've got to bring them back.
Yeah, definitely. But we're the only ones who can fix it, really. Yeah. We can make it, we as a government can make it more attractive for you to come in. But the only way it's going to work is if we start using them, and we've got to give a reason for people to come in as well. Make sure there are nice coffee shops and pubs and all those kind of things as well.
Yeah, we can help then our local economy, and we can help that thrive. And you've got a few words that you want to say about the economy and what's I suppose the shifting pattern of the economy that's been going on.
Yeah, well, one of the things we've announced this week is a £547 million fund for Wales. So this is called the Local Growth Fund. Remember when we were in the EU, we used to get quite a lot of money from the EU. And then what happened is Brexit happened, and the UK government took that money back into England effectively and determined from England where it should be spent in Wales. And the fact is, they just don't really know our communities. They don't know the geography. So they were kind of flying in and imposing things on Wales without saying, oh, is the Welsh government working here already? Are there other organisations doing stuff. So it was a really hodgepodge of planning. And so what's happened now is that decision making is coming back to Wales. So, you know, it was one of the things we got Keir Starmer to promise before he became Prime Minister, is to say, you need to make sure that we get to make decisions on where that is spent. So with that, money's coming back to Wales, and we will be working now. There's a consultation going on with organisations about how best we should spend that money. And the idea is to transform the economy, right? Our economy is not strong enough in Wales. We've got to do more. We've got to get the infrastructure right. We've got to make sure people have got the skills that they need, make sure that we have the green transport infrastructure, the energy infrastructure, all of those things. And this money will help us to deliver that. So this is a real opportunity for us, and I hope people will respond to that consultation.
There you go. So we'll find the details of that and how you can have your say. And then closely linked to that economy, a draft budget has also been put together.
Yeah, so yesterday the draft budget was laid. So just to explain how this works, one of the most important things that a government does is to set down the budget. So that effectively determines where you're going to spend the money. And, you know, how much you spend on schools, how much you spend on health, how much you spend on transport, how much you spend on care, all of those different things. So, you know, that's the really big job of government. Now, but to get your budget through, you need enough votes to get it through. Now, in the Senedd, there are 60 members. Okay, 60 members. It's about to get bigger, but 60 members. 30 of them in the election were Labour. I mean, we've just lost a colleague. But the fact is, you need 31 to get through the votes. Okay, you've got to have one more than the majority. So we've always had to make deals to get our budget through. We've never had a majority. Everybody thinks Labour's kind of massively in charge of Wales, but we've always had to work with other political parties. It's just that the way it was set up it forced us to work together. And I think that's a good thing. I think most people want that to happen. Let's just do the best for Wales. And what's happened now is we're in a situation where we need to convince other people to support our budget. So we've put down what we'd like to see. But what we're doing is we're saying, come on, other parties, if we can't pass this budget, and obviously we recently lost a colleague, and we need to convince somebody else as well. If we can't pass the budget, the consequences across Wales would be catastrophic, because what happens is you get a massive cut, 25% cut for local government. That means, you know, carers being sacked. That means bin men being sacked. That means teachers being sacked. You know, we're responsible. We don't want to see that happening. And we're calling on the other parties to work with us now to say, come on, we can't afford that to happen. That is not good for anyone. So yesterday was the first step in saying, right, this is the beginning of a process. Come and talk to us. Let's get this thing sorted, because we care about public services. And, you know, let's see if the other parties come to the table to recognize this is serious stuff. You don't play about with politics here. These are people's lives, people's jobs, services that people rely on. You don't mess about with this. It's not a game. This is really serious stuff.
Yeah, got to work together. And of course, the anticipation with this new election, which we'll talk about nearer the time, is going to encourage even more of that cross-party conversation. We touched on this last week, actually, about the camaraderie within the Senedd. So in my view, it's like a big old school. You all turn up. You've got your departments. You've got your groups that you hang around with. But of course, there are cross-party action groups, and you've got all the backroom staff, you've got budgets to put through that you need other people to talk about. What is the camaraderie like as a whole in the Senedd?
Well, it's a really small institution. You know, if you compare it to Westminster, you've got over 600 people there. We've got 60. So we all know each other. And, you know, we've been together now for 4.5 years or so. So, you know, you do get to know people. And don't forget, look, we've all got quite a lot in common. You know, we've all put our names forward. We're all in the public eye. We're all, you know, having hassle on, on Facebook. It's all kind of, all of us are going through the same experience. Now, we have political differences, but, we are civil to each other, and we do, we do, you can be friends across parties, and it's kind of just understanding that you can disagree without falling out. And it's quite a skill. Not everybody has it, but I think it's really important. It's the only way to do it, really.
Yeah. Gina?
Yeah, I'm just thinking about, in any workplace, you're always going to have different views. Even in friendships, you're going to have different views, and it is about that working together. And like you say, with the budget and the draft, it is about, we've got to work best for Wales. It's not about what's best for you or me or in our parties. It's what is best for Wales. And yes, and
That's
it's
right,
nice
Gina.
to feel that clear.
Yeah, that is right. And you've got to keep your eye always on, why are you doing this? You're doing it to serve the public. We've got to be the servants of the public, and about 50% of our budget, over 50% of our budget is spent on health in Wales. There's a big chunk. And then you've got to think, right, how much are we going to spend on schools? How much are we going to spend on care, on bins, on leisure centres, all of these different things. And, people rely on us for their daily lives. Interestingly, a lot of people wouldn't realize that they rely on us. They just take it for granted. They just think it's always going to be like free prescriptions, for example. They just think, oh yeah, well, obviously, well, they don't have that in England. So there's all of these things that people just think are just normal now. We've had free breakfasts in schools for 21 years. And they're having a party about that in England. We're like, yeah, we've been doing it for years. And now we're on to free school meals in primary school. So, these things, and people just think, yeah, they're always going to be there. Free bus passes for pensioners, for example, they just think that's normal. It's not.
Sometimes when things are in place, we take it for granted. And when they're not there, it's, hold on a minute, what's all this about? And then people start to listen.
Well, and the best example of that is the NHS. If you go to countries across the world, you have to pay insurance, and Reform is suggesting that they might want to flirt with the idea of an insurance. Now, you think about, if you've got an underlying health condition, what your insurance looks like. You go to Ireland, it costs over 100 quid to go and see a GP. I mean, if you have a baby in the United States, it costs about £30,000. All of these things, these are choices that politicians make, and people just think that they're there. They're not always going to be there. They're there because we have made political choices. We happen to have been there for a while, but a lot of that stuff could be taken away. But look, I also think it's important to look to the future, to recognize that the world is changing, that the way we do things is changing, that the way we do medicine has to change. During COVID, it was fascinating, wasn't it? How suddenly loads went online, and you just thought, wow, okay, we can do this differently. Why don't we? And it's amazing if you live in a really remote part of Pembrokeshire, and you need to go and see a specialist. Why can't you do that online? So there are things change, so you have to then look to the future. AI, that's going to be a revolution, isn't it? How we do things. We're already using it a lot in government. So, and it saves a hell of a lot of time. You've got to check it. You've got to be careful. But, it's using things more efficiently.
Yeah, remain the human in the loop when it comes to AI. That was a takeaway I had from a workshop a couple of months ago. Looking to the future, of course, with these budgets going through, our members of the Senedd, they are, as Belinda just mentioned there, they're our public servants. If you've got a view on the draft proposal or anything that happens in the Senedd, go and talk to your local representative. Go and talk to them about what you want to see. Their offices are readily available. They've got great staff and team working with them throughout the week. And then they will go forward with your views and cast their vote in the Senedd. Very quickly, before we look at your forward week, is that changing in the Senedd, the voting?
Yeah, no, there'll be massive change coming up. There's going to be a whole new system. There's going to be 96 members. So at the moment, there are 60 members. This could get a bit complicated, but 40 of them are voted for on the same basis as the kind of MPs. But then I'm elected on what they call a regional list. What's going to happen in future is that everyone's going to be voted for on a regional list, effectively. There are 16 regions, and there'll be 6 places in each region. And Pembrokeshire and Ceredigion are going to be joined together as one of the regions. So ironically, I'm hoping it's going to be standing in Pembrokeshire and Ceredigion. Ironically, I'm one of the few who will see my area actually contract and get smaller, because I currently represent Mid and West Wales, which covers about 3/4 of the land mass of Wales. So you've always been special in Pembrokeshire, though, so don't tell everybody.
We won't tell everyone. And what does your next 7 days look like before we send you on the way with a wonderful track for us?
Well, I've got a busy day today. I'm going to meet the Children's Commissioner and meeting lots of children to hear their views on what we should be doing in relation to things like the budget, because it's important. You know, they're the future. What do they think? So in particular, we've introduced £2 a pound bus fare, for children. And, you know, right, how is that working? You know, has it been difficult to register? Because that's just a pilot. So, you know, do they want us to continue that? What does that look like? There's a lot of mental health issues with young people. So, you know, making sure they're getting the support they need, all that kind of thing. So that's that. And then, I don't know if I should be saying this. I'm going to say it anyway.
Oh, go on.
So we're going to be announcing a St. David's Day celebration. And we're encouraging local communities to bid for up to £1 million. So we've got £1 million fund, and we want people to celebrate St. David's in their community. So local groups can bid for that funding, so that on March the 1st next year, you can have basically a party in your street and get together. Because I don't think we do enough of that. We don't celebrate. They do it quite well in St. David's, to be fair, where I live, but it doesn't happen a lot elsewhere. So I'm really keen for us to grab the initiative and to make sure that we have fun on our National Day. So getting local people to get together, organisations. So don't forget to bid for that money. It'll be announced later today.
Eluned Morgan, member of the Senedd for Mid and West Wales, thank you so much as ever for your time here on The Breakfast Show for Ask Eluned. Have a great week. Enjoy hearing those stories from the young people here, and no doubt very insightful conversations today, because they've got great ideas, and we look forward to catching up with you next week.
Diolch yn fawr, thank you.
What song are we going to be playing in just a moment's time here?
Oh, I think you're playing Jack Johnson, aren't you?
We are.
I love Jack Johnson. I got this CD got stuck in my CD player, and it was the only CD that I could play for many years. So, yeah.
Better Together plays for us next. Oh, it fits actually with the camaraderie conversation just a moment ago. It's 8:30. Marty from Sandy Bear is going to be joining us next here on Pure West Radio. Many thanks, Eluned.
Diolch yn fawr. Bye-bye. Shwmai.
Wonderful Wednesday, sponsored by Price and Kelway Solicitors, celebrating 100 years of